Hello, friends. Today, I want to talk about how narcissistic relationships train and condition you to amputate the best pieces of you. So, we're going to talk about how that starts, what that looks like, and then if you find yourself in that, what you can do about it. So, without further ado, let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach. I specialize in helping people overcome not only narcissistic abuse, but cptsd recovery, which is the inner rebuilding after narcissistic abuse. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is an interactive monthly membership where we meet live on Zoom and we do the inner work together. I'll leave the link there for anyone that's interested in checking that out. Okay, so what does it look like if you're in relationships with people that cause you to amputate yourself? First of all, I just want to kind of, as I'm talking about and saying that word right now, I'm thinking how ridiculous it would be if somebody said to you, Michele, I love being in a relationship with you. I'd love to stay in this relationship, but I'm not a big fan of your pinky. Can you just, get rid of that pinky? I don't like it. Um, no one else that I've ever been in a relationship with had a pinky like that. So, you know, get rid of it. No one in their right mind would entertain somebody implying that they need to amputate a physical part of their body to stay in a relationship. Well, the same should be true with our emotional self, our inner self. Nobody should entertain being with somebody that is causing you to feel like you have to amputate pieces of your authentic self. If you're happy and you enjoy something and you're with somebody that makes you feel like that's bad, or maybe you dress a certain way and it's just an expression of your individuality and it's criticized constantly to the point that you stop dressing that way. Or maybe you have certain friends that you love being around these people. They make you feel good about yourself. It's reciprocity, it's a reciprocal relationship, and you're just so happy around them. But then you're made to feel like there's something wrong with them and you have to be careful around them. And so you begin to isolate yourself. Or maybe you're just this person that's always up. You're always happy. You always have a smile on your face, not because you're people pleasing, but just because it's who you are. And you're always, you have the shine in your eyes, but then you start to feel like that shine is making the other person uncomfortable. And so maybe on a subconscious level, you're not even making these amputations or these changes consciously, but you just start toning yourself down just a tiny, tiny bit. And the other person starts acting happier. So it's like, oh, this is good. If I'm toned down, then this person is happier. Those are all signs that you're with somebody that is possibly high on the NPD scale that is controlling you, forcing you to amputate pieces of you for their own emotional needs to be met. And that's wrong. Just as wrong as it is for you to want to amputate a physical part of your body, no one should require you to amputate pieces of your authenticity so that you're walking around not like who you are, but almost an empty shell with some kind of remote control that the person is using to kind of guide you to what you're supposed to do, think, feel, say, be, etc. You're not a person anymore when you're with a narcissist like that. They strip you of that authenticity and then they control you. And that's wrong. So first, I just kind of want to normalize how somebody can wind up in a relationship like that, because I don't want anyone to feel like, hating on themselves or beating themselves. Like, why did I do that? Other people aren't with narcissists. Why was I? That's the wrong route to take. We don't want to blame ourselves because that is counterproductive. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But the reason most people wind up in relationships like that, just to normalize it so that you don't have that shame or self-blame, most of the time is because maybe somewhere in childhood, you were taught that that was normal. Maybe you had a parent that might have been high on the scale of NPD, maybe a parent that was emotionally unavailable, a parent that had addictions, and you were never mirrored properly. And the parent, whether intentionally because of a personality disorder or unintentionally because of their own unhealed past wounds, you were somehow made to feel like you had to change you to make someone else happy. You weren't allowed to be you. It wasn't safe to be you. It wasn't safe to have your feelings. It wasn't safe to have your thoughts. It wasn't safe. And so you would shape shift to try to please your caregiver. Well, in childhood, that is a very, very wise strategy because that's all you can do, right? In childhood, you can't take care of yourself. You need that caretaker. And so your brain comes up with these coping skills like, okay, they're mad when you're enjoying this toy. Let's not use that toy. And it amputates the things that you love. You start amputating or suppressing or rejecting pieces of yourself that are being rejected by the parent. So that's where that behavior of kind of rejecting, divorcing, amputating, whatever word you want to use, self originates. It's a survival skill. And again, it was what you needed to do in childhood. That was all you could do to feel some tiny measure of safety. The problem is that you grow up, you leave home, but that template of I need to sacrifice me to please others is the exact template that toxic people search for. They want to be in relationships with people that are willing to sacrifice self for them. And so the wounds in childhood wind up getting recreated in adulthood. And that's why a lot of people wind up in those relationships. That's why they wind up doing behaviors that once you're out of the relationship, you look back, at least I know I did. I looked back and was like, how did I allow that? Why would I have allowed that? And the real reason behind that is because when you're in relationships like that, that open the door to the unhealed childhood wounds, those unhealed wounds are really embedded in your subconscious programming. And so your subconscious programming is way more influential in your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions than your conscious awareness. And so you're doing things you may not even realize why. You may not even have all the pieces of the puzzle. And at times when you have that clarity, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Again, it's because of what's in the subconscious. Okay, so we talked about what it looks like when you're amputating pieces of yourself. We talked about where it comes from. And now let's talk about what to do about it, because the next step, what I see a lot of people do is a lot of people will wake up, see that this person, you are causing me to amputate myself, right? And then they'll want to clean up their life, detox their um, life from people that are not healthy. And that's a great thing. But sometimes they stop there. They might get rid of that narcissist, but if the template in their subconscious is still there, if those wounds are not fully healed, 9 times out of 10, you will find yourself in another relationship with somebody that's not healthy. And it tends to go from like bad to worse in a more covert fashion. For example, somebody might have started out with an overt narcissist, and then they learn, they leave, they get a covert narcissist, then they learn, they leave, and now they're with a sociopath or a psychopath. So it gets like more and more covert, but the pattern is still there because the pattern starts changing when the inner template it has changed. And until that inner template has changed, you're going to find it challenging to either one of two things. Either you're going to find it challenging to be in healthy relationships, right? You might wind up still attracting people that are toxic, whether it's romantic relationships or friendships. Or let's say you're like, I don't want to date anybody. Let's say you kind of take a step back. You're still going to feel the effects, the side effects of the trauma in different areas of your life until that template is gone. And some of the ways that that will show up is maybe in your nervous system. You might be battling anxiety, depression, dissociation, emotional triggers, panic attacks. inexplicable body pains. All of those things are signs that even if you're out of all relationships, the trauma needs to be worked through. So how can you do that? Now, there's a lot of different programs out there, and I encourage you to find one that resonates with you. I also encourage you to find ways to combine mind and body in your healing. Okay, it's the cognitive and the somatic together that really help you to work through the side effects of narcissistic abuse and cptsd. In the Thriver School of Transformation, that's what we do. On Tuesdays, we have the cognitive learning, where each month we take a different piece of the healing journey. This month, in the month of June, we're talking about how to overcome self-love deficit. Last month, we did shadow work. The month before, we talked about boundaries. So each month we do something cognitively to work on the healing journey, but we also have somatic modalities. On Fridays, we do EFT, emotional freedom technique. Sundays, we have trauma release breath work. And once a month, we do, for those interested, they take a biofeedback scan. And if they want to use bioenergetics to help them to heal their body, that's an option as well. So that's what we do there. If that's something that as you're listening, it kind of resonates with you, come check us out. And if not, then just find something that is interactive that can help you. Because videos are great, but it's unilateral. Like you're learning, but sometimes to be able to put it into practice in your personal situation can be challenging. So find something that's interactive that resonates with you, because you can overcome it. You can break the cycle. You can change that inner template, but you have to be willing to do the inner work to do that.